We'll take it from here.
Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of We'll Take It From Here, the podcast that makes bad movies better and good movies great. I'm Holden, aka Cuban Thor.
And I'm Michael, also known as Father Malone.
How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Again, welcome to our premiere episode. In this show, we'll be talking about Constantine, which will be our main topic. Before we get into that, though, I would like to talk about some happenings that are going on currently.
Happenings.
What's happening, hot stuff?
Let me tell you what's going to happen.
Alright, right now the most happening thing seems to be Guardians of the Galaxy. It just came out, we've both seen it, I've actually seen it twice by now.
I've seen it twice as well.
It's fantastic, love this movie. The music's great, Kurt Russell looking young in the beginning. That's not much of a spoiler, but hey.
It's absurd how good he looks as a
young
man.
But all makeup.
No, you know what, Kurt Russell's saying that, but I don't believe him at all.
You know what, I trust Kurt Russell.
I don't trust Kurt Russell.
Captain Ron, man.
Yes, he is Captain Ron, and, you know, but Captain Ron is a pirate, so pirates lie.
He's also Snake Plissken. I mean, come on. Like, there's so many things.
Snake Plissken is also a liar.
Look, I trust Kurt Russell.
I do not.
He says it's mostly, I think it's at least mostly makeup.
I believe they put makeup on him and filmed him and then de-aged him, and he saw it and went, "Wow, I look great."
That hair, though.
Just makeup. Oh, the hair. Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's some perfect.
There's some Sean Cassidy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then what also is going on is that we both seen a movie that we're going to add into our list of to make better, and that would be Free Fire, that has starring Brie Larson, Charlotte Copley,
and Armie Hammer.
And Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer was the best part of this film, hands down.
Totally agree with you.
Hands down, best part of this film.
I don't think I liked the movie. I wanted to like it a lot more, but I think I would have liked it significantly less if Armie Hammer wasn't involved.
Yeah, it's like a bottle episode of a TV show in a movie form. It was set in 1970s Boston, which you got none of that.
No.
Really. Like, nobody had a Boston accent, I believe.
No, a couple characters
really?
did, but they were really poor Boston accents.
Oh, okay.
I think most of these actors were English, and I think they were trying to hide their own accent by delving into a Boston accent that, as a person from Boston, it did not work.
Cillian Murphy went heavy Irish accent, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the characters are from Ireland, so which was great, but...
The Irish mob or whatever like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so we both kind of were a little disappointed with that film, I would say. Definitely something I would like to add into our list of movies.
Totally.
We got Spider-Man Homecoming coming out in about around now about 2 months.
2 months? Is it June?
July 7th.
Oh, July, yeah, okay.
Which looks great. Spider-Man being young, I mean, from Civil War, looks fantastic. Everything about this film just reads perfect for me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I mean, they've already got my money.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man. It's pretty much just money growing on trees there. Thor Ragnarok coming out in November. They just released a quick teaser trailer. Looks amazing. You got Led Zeppelin playing. You got Thor versus Hulk. You got...
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm kind of more excited about this than any other movie this year, I think.
Yeah, you know, surprisingly, I mean, they definitely took some Guardians flavor and added into the Thor universe, which seems to be much needed.
I'm glad they're sort of fleshing out the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, for sure, and it's something that I think Hela is definitely going to be a great addition to the cast, and I think she's going to end up being a really big costume for Halloween in the upcoming years.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, in Infinity War, Thanos is in love with, was it Lady Death?
Oh, yeah.
Death? I think they're probably going to transfer the sword to her.
I hope so. That'd be great. The other movie that's coming out actually next month is Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Which, you know, this new trailer that came out in the last couple of days has been pretty interesting. I watched it once, was not impressed, and then I watched it a couple more times, and, you know, I'm actually kind of digging into this movie. I'm still not sold on Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot, I think.
All right, and I'm not really sold on her. I mean, from the trailers, I mean, I've seen better acting from a walking, talking tree in Guardians of the Galaxy, sad to say, and the little girl in the trailer emotes so well, and she does not, and it's such a weird juxtaposition. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this movie.
Oh, man. But other than Wonder Woman...
Don't get me wrong, I love Wonder Woman. I really want to like this movie,
too.
But, you know, come on.
I mean, Golden Lasso of Truth, you got the bracers going, she looks the part, it's just...
When Chris Pine is Steve Trevor, and setting it in World War I. Really good ideas. Let's see what they do with it.
I mean, I just feel like they're trying to bite into that Captain America, but who knows?
Yeah, time will tell.
And then the other trailer actually has come out recently is the Dark Tower trailer with Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey, and who's is the kid? Anybody?
The kid is some new kid.
Brand new kid? That's awesome. The trailer looks great.
Yeah, I'm so stoked for this movie, I gotta say. I said Thor is the movie I'm most excited for. Probably not. It might be Dark Tower.
Thor's my number one. I think Dark Tower might be 2 or 3. I think Spider-Man might jump it just slightly.
Yeah, well, let me say this about the movie. I've read all those books, and in them, they always refer to Roland, who's the gunslinger, Idris Elba's character, that when he reloads, he does this trick with his hand. And it was always sort of hard to imagine. And then they did it in the trailer where he's dropping the bullets in, like one after another, rapid fire into the cylinder of his gun. It just looks amazing. I rewound it and watched it like 3 times. Like, I'm so excited for this movie.
Yeah, it seems really interesting. The Idris Elba delivering the lines in the trailer, just, man, I can listen to that man talk about anything.
Yeah, right.
Just have him pick a word in the dictionary, read it, and I'll just be enthralled.
Will there ever be a time when Idris Elba is cast in something and there aren't a bunch of fans, like, upset about it?
You know...
Heimdall, everyone got bent out of shape. And then he was almost James Bond, and all the Bond fans got bent out of shape. And now he's Roland the Gunslinger, and all the Gunslinger fans are bent out of shape.
You know, I find it interesting that these people get so bent out of shape about something.
Racists.
A little bit of racism there. But I will say, once that movie comes out and it's well done, look at Heimdall. Nobody
cares now.
Else Heimdall now. It's the same thing with this. I really feel like once we get this movie out and everybody's like, wow, this dude's amazing, it won't matter anymore. Nobody will care. It won't be brought up. It was the same thing with Heath Ledger as the Joker. Nobody thought he was going to be good,
right.
And all of a sudden, wow, he's amazing. He's the best part of that Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, you know,
this film, the trilogy.
Yeah, I think it was all racism there too. So shut up, racists.
Bad racist, bad. And then for all right, and then for to start off our main topic of John Constantine, which stars Keanu Reeves, we're going to go into a synopsis here.
Yeah, this is Constantine, not the recent television series, but the 2005 film starring Keanu Reeves, directed by Francis Lawrence. Basic plot of the movie is John Constantine is, well, actually, let me go back a little bit, because Constantine has a pretty rich history with DC Comics. He was actually created by Alan Moore and Steve Bissette back in '85 when Alan Moore had taken over the run of Swamp Thing. And Constantine was just sort of a minor character in like one quick run of it. And he would prove so popular that in, I think, 1988, they gave him his own comic book called Hellblazer John Constantine, although it was originally supposed to be Hellraiser John Constantine.
Right, and it got changed because of the film franchise?
Yeah, the Clive Barker movie came out, I think, the year before. So Hellblazer from Hellraiser. And Jamie Delano was the original writer on that, and he had a run for a while, and then Garth Ennis, and...
I love Garth Ennis, though.
Yeah.
Garth Ennis books. Give me more Garth Ennis books.
Exactly. So back in 2005, they finally get around to making the first film, and what you got is John Constantine is a sort of psychic and dabbler in the dark arts who, from his youth, he's had the ability to see between the planes of our existence. The overarching kind of plot in the movie is that God and the devil have a bet going for the souls of all mankind. And they can't have any direct involvement, but they can influence, and they influence it with these half-breeds, which are half-human demons and half-human angels, who are sort of affecting everybody. So in this world, John Constantine is sort of called in because there is a girl named Angela, played by Rachel Weisz, whose sister, twin sister, so she plays that part too, has recently killed herself, and she doesn't believe that she would have done that because she's a good Catholic, and Catholics don't kill themselves or they go to hell. It turns out, here's what's going on.
Yeah, wasn't this story, first off, based off of a comic book run, before we get too far into it? It's adapted from the Dangerous Habits and Hellblazer and Original Sins arc of Constantine?
Yeah, they pulled plot elements from both of those. The Dangerous Habits one, John Constantine is a constant smoker. He's constantly got a cigarette in his mouth.
Right.
He actually gets lung cancer, so during the course of the film, he's slowly dying of cancer. You know, into this world, like, John Constantine has to sort of navigate between these demons and these angels, and we meet Gabriel, the angel Gabriel, played by Tilda Swinton.
Who was great in this film.
So fantastic.
I mean, Tilda Swinton brought it in this film. She definitely chewed scenery, and everything about Tilda Swinton, I was introduced to Tilda Swinton in this film. Everything about her in this film makes me believe every role she takes is perfect for Tilda Swinton.
Absolutely. And this is another thing with, like, Idris Elba. Like, you know, if you're going to cast Tilda Swinton in your movie, just shut up, everybody. She's going to be great. So
yeah, she knocks out of the park almost every time. I don't think there's been a movie where I'm disappointed in Tilda Swinton. I mean, you can look at, like in Doctor Strange, she was great as the Ancient One despite the controversy. She was great in Snowpiercer. Oh my goodness, she was great.
God, was she great in Snowpiercer? I mean, what a good movie.
As great as Chris Evans carrying that film, she was the best. She was the best actress in that film, hands down.
That's a film you will never hear in this podcast. I think it's a perfect little gem.
Really, really great film. So back onto the synopsis, where we're at exactly.
So Angel Gabriel
right.
is representing the good, and there's a demon named Balthazar, played by Gavin Rossdale, representing the bad.
Gavin Rossdale from Bush, everybody. Gavin Rossdale's making acting career. Was he in a movie before this? I don't believe he was.
I think this is his first role.
Premiere film as Balthazar.
I don't think I've seen him since either.
No, I don't think I've seen him anywhere, actually. I think he's just disappeared completely. I don't remember seeing Bush anything in a very long time.
Yeah, where are they?
I don't know. I think they just came up with an album. I wouldn't be surprised, but they're just not as popular as they were in the 90s.
He's got to compete with Gwen. Okay, so anyway.
Nice little tangent there.
Yeah. Synopsis. So helping John Constantine sort of in his investigation, he has a character named Father Hennessy, played by Pruitt Taylor Vince, who's a psychometrist. Basically, he can touch things and gain psychic vibes off of them. And a fella named Beeman, who is his supplier of enchanted objects and, otherworldly weapons.
Great scene in the film where they're going through the arsenal that Beeman gives him that involves dragon's breath, a screech beetle, and a few other objects. I mean, the screech beetle does come up into play about 15 minutes later, perfectly timed, I would say.
They say if you introduce a gun into the first act, you better use it by the second, and Jesus Christ, man, they took this to heart. They ran with it.
Every weapon that they showed is pretty much used in this film. I mean, John Constantine at one point in time creates a cross shotgun that's featured prominently.
Yeah, that's a pretty great weapon.
It's featured prominently.
Well, okay, so here's what's happening. Again, okay, God had Jesus. The devil also has a son named Mammon. Now, Mammon wants to make hell on earth, and it's prophesied in the hellacious version of the Bible that he can do that if he possesses the body of a psychically inclined character and has help from the sort of angelic side of things. And he has to use the Spear of Destiny, which is the spear that pierced the side of Christ, and which is slowly making its way to him.
Which the Spear of Destiny is something that's been kind of, interpreted different ways. Some say it killed Christ, some say it just, was checking on Christ to make sure he was alive or dead or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, in this movie they go full on with the it killed Christ, right. And so now it's imbued with magical powers.
Wasn't there a straight up horrible quote in the beginning of the film?
He who possesses the Spear of Destiny holds the fate of the world in his hands, unquote. Attributed to no one. I mean, what? And then it says the Spear of Destiny has been missing since the end of World War II. So Constantine, during the course of investigation, several times goes to hell, literally, which are, I think, some of the best sequences in the movie. I mean, it's a total CGI environment, but basically what they've done is they've taken Los Angeles and made it into a hellscape. And sort of near the end of the movie, they make it into a more angelic-looking place as well when we get a glimpse of heaven. But basically it looks like Los Angeles in the midst of a nuclear blast, like if you froze a moment during a nuclear blast, and that's what hell looks like.
It was absolutely fantastic, and you know what? I didn't even realize that was L.A. as heaven.
Oh, yeah,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, you see the Pan America building there.
That raised this movie up another point for me. And as far as the rest of the plot, I mean, it's John Constantine basically throughout this whole movie. We follow him along going through his cutting in. I think you actually forgot somebody to mention, though, and that would be Chaz Kramer.
Oh, my God, yeah, see, that's how forgettable this goddamn character is.
I mean, he does disappear, in the middle of the film. We'll get into that when we get into our bad stuff.
Chaz Kramer, played by Shia LaBeouf.
Who was great in this film. I mean, he's a little crazy, but he brought the crazy. He was good in this film. There's very few films where I think he doesn't perform well, but I will say Shia LaBeouf in this film was very good.
Yep.
And as far as the rest of the film goes, we have Papa Midnight, who was played by
Djimon Hounsou,
who was great. I mean, any film he's in.
Papa Midnight is a very prominent character in the Hellblazer comics, and he's basically a voodoo practitioner who runs a nightclub that is basically neutral. So all the demons and all the angels can commingle there, and no funny business is allowed. He's a great character, good friend of John's.
And John is featured in this club several times. You have to be kind of like a semi-psychic to get in. And there's a couple of cool scenes there.
I actually really like that moment in the movie. Like, in order to get in, they hold up a card, and you have to tell the guy psychically what the image is on the card, which is really clever.
Which is fantastic. It's a great scene, and it's better in the second part where they bring it up again as a callback, and he gets it wrong. He just punches the guy.
Yeah, exactly. There's no time for this.
No.
And so, really, we did forget one character, and it is probably the best character in the entire movie. He's only in one scene. But Peter Stormare as Lucifer Morningstar, the devil himself. The devil is a character who is the only soul he'll ever come to Earth to collect himself is John Constantine's.
So this is actually at the end of the film. Let's kind of like review that for a second, because the end of the film is the best part of this film, hands down.
Yeah.
I would say this film is worth watching just for the ending of this film. And let me tell you why. There's some great symbolism, and there's just some great sequences that you'll never see in any other film, and that's worth watching.
I can't think of a film where the lead character, the way he solves a problem is to cut his own wrists and commit suicide.
The on this man.
Yeah.
Like, he cuts his own wrist to kill himself again. So the devil is the only person that would come for John Constantine's soul. His soul is the only soul that the devil will come for because of a previous time where John killed himself. He got brought back somehow, right?
Yeah, he when he was a teenager, he cut his wrist in order to kill himself, and then paramedics were able to stitch him back up and bring him back to life. So he was in hell for about 20 seconds, and then they brought him back.
The devil obviously feels slighted because he was robbed a soul from hell. So this is why the devil is coming for John.
Also because John has spent the rest of his life sending demons back to hell. So
double motivation.
Yeah. He's really pissed that he's thwarting all of his plans here on Earth.
Right. So you got all that, and then the devil is now here, dropping in from the sky.
Dropping in from somewhere. Yeah.
Right. He's plopped down, barefooted, coated in tar.
Beautiful.
And then a great scene, and then of course you have Peter Stormare popping in, just being his insane self, and thank God for him. Good old Lucifer coming in. John basically explains the whole plot of the film at this point. He breaks down to the devil that his son is now coming through the psychic in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
And because this interferes with the game that he's playing with God, he decides to stop Mammon, his son, and basically is the deus ex machina of the ending of this film.
Yeah, it's very rare in a movie where you'll see the hero use the villain or a greater villain to get rid of the main threat of the film.
Essentially, what John does here is he cons the devil.
Right, which is why John Constantine is one of the best characters ever made.
Right. So Lucifer comes back and asks him, all right, what do you want? What do you want for me for saving this so I got my deal? I can still, go against God. He says that he just wants Isabel, Angela's sister, who killed herself in the beginning of the film, to be sent into heaven. So what this does, it takes a selfless act to get back into heaven, according to Gabriel in the beginning of the film. This is a selfless act by John. He does something where he knows he's still damned. He has a favor in the devil. The devil sends Isabel back to heaven. And that's the end of the film.
Yeah, well, because he did that.
Yes.
Now Constantine himself has been absolved of his mortal sin and is going to be raised up and brought into heaven.
So the devil does something that you would not expect the devil to do, and he actually saves John Constantine from, his lung cancer. It doesn't really deal with the wrist part, but he definitely...
All one and the same.
I mean, it's all one and the same. You pull out black tar from somebody's chest, you're healing the wrist too, I suppose.
Pulls the cancer directly from John Constantine, saves him, allows him to continue to live on Earth, knowing that Constantine will eventually end up in hell anyway.
Just so he can keep sitting.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Brilliant ending.
Isn't there your favorite part in this film? Is where they put the blood out in the cigarette?
Oh my God! Yeah.
I want to mention that.
Yeah, but for me, just an amazing moment in the movie. John Constantine smoking that final cigarette, laying in a pool of his own blood, puts the cigarette out in his own blood. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely the most John Constantine moment of this film.
Yeah, one among many.
At this point,
what was good in this movie, Holden?
What was good in this movie? I find that the CGI in this film is very good for a 2005 film. In the very beginning of the film, it even starts off with a crazy car crash that is very unexpected.
Great scene.
Yeah, great scene. The guy who gets hit by the car looks a little rubbery if you really pay close attention on high definition television. But overall, you're just watching this film really quick. It's done great.
Yeah, I like that. Another thing I like about this movie is Keanu Reeves. I think
you like the main character.
I love John Constantine. Constantine is one of my favorite characters. Right up there with Swamp Thing. And I think for me they did him justice in the movie. There's sort of two sides to John Constantine, and one is sort of a quippy, kind of witty jokester, and the other side is sort of this lonely, kind of depressed guy. And they leaned heavily into the lonely, depressed guy, which works for me. But I thought Keanu did an admirable job in this movie. And I'm sorry that we didn't get to see more of him as Constantine, honestly.
Well, I mean, they did originally plan a sequel, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It obviously didn't happen because we don't have it now. It was made in 2005.
Right.
But I will say the sound in this movie also is another thing I like, except for the dialogue, which we'll get into when we get into the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But the sound of this film, throughout the little notes that you get from the score, the songs that are cut in, the one song for Perfect Circle.
Yeah, good stuff.
What was it? There's another song
Dave
as well.
Brubeck, Take 5 by Dave Brubeck.
Right. There's also just great little, like, jokey things, like the cross shotgun, the holy knuckles, and the whole reading the last rites to Balthazar.
Oh, yeah, that's a good scene.
I always forget about that scene because we talk about the ending.
Right.
And then that actually might just run up there as, like,
because
just as good.
It's another scene where he's conning somebody, where he tries to convince Balthazar that he's going to absolve him of his sins and send him to heaven, which is the worst place Balthazar could be.
He says something like, "Oh, you got to ask forgiveness, asshole."
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Yeah, great stuff there. I think again we've mentioned the devil is something that's really good in this film. I believe the Angela storyline is pretty interesting as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you know everything about her, and you kind of don't really know everything about her until you watch the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
So on a second viewing, Angela's story is much more, I would say, cohesive.
Absolutely.
Because you realize she's more of a cop. She has the twin sister. Because right in the beginning, when you're introduced to her, you don't know if it's Isabel or Angela. In fact, you don't even know which character is who.
Yeah, they make it pretty confusing, sort of on purpose, where we see that character commit suicide and then she wakes up, but it's two separate characters.
So on a second viewing, third viewing, you really understand the character of Angela, and it really shines out in this film. With multiple viewings. Shia LaBeouf is great in this film. He unfortunately isn't in the film very much, which is a bad thing, which we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
But when he is there, he's doing very good. He's chewing the scenery of what he can.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with any of his performances in any of his movies.
No.
I mean, I know a lot of people have problems with him, but I like him.
Yeah. And then I really don't have too much else that's great in this film. Do you got anything else?
I actually like the scene where he gets attacked by a demon made out of bugs.
Oh, that was a great scene, CGI-wise especially.
Totally
forgot about that. Well, it's not just bugs. There's crabs, too.
Crabs and snakes and all sorts of creepy crawlies.
Basically anything that has, like, 6 legs, it seems like they put into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually really like the scene where he uses the dragon's fire as well.
Yes.
Burns through the was it the wall or it was a wall or a mirror or something?
It's a mirror.
It's a mirror. Balthazar.
That's to get that Balthazar.
Yeah, right before he gets Balthazar there.
And
and let me mention the fact of CGI work is when they pull Angela through the whole building. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great scene, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot to like in this movie.
Yeah, there's some foreshadowing of what that character is who is pulling Angela.
Yes.
But if you pick up on it. So, as we get through our good stuff, let's get into the bad. For me, the worst thing in this film has to be the fact that this dialogue is so low at times. It's almost a whisper. I had to turn the subtitles on watching this film.
It's mixed pretty poorly, which I think a lot of modern movies suffer from this, where I find that I'll be watching something and I'll have it turned up because I can't hear anything, and then the special effects will come on and it blows my speakers out.
Oh, shows do it too. I mean, between commercials on normal television,
they go way too loud, man.
Movies that
let me say that really loud.
Yeah, let's bring this up an extra loud volume here because why not? We have a sound mix that's just so off when it comes to the dialogue. Like I think that's what's put me to sleep during this film is the fact that the dialogue is so low. Like Keanu Reeves already has a low voice. And in John Wick, you can hear every word he says, but it's still really low. It's still something you're like, all right, subtitles? Subtitles? What did you say here?
Yeah, my main problem with the movie is the total time waste that is the Spear of Destiny subplot. It doesn't add anything to it. We don't spend all that much time following this guy who finds it in Mexico as he makes his way to Los Angeles, but it's time that could be better spent elsewhere. Just having Gabriel pulling Mammon out of Angela is enough. We didn't need this sort of sacred object. You know what it feels like, that the screenwriters like thumbed through a book of religious relics and went, "Oh, the Spear of Destiny, nobody's done that yet. Let's put that in there."
I believe it's actually in DC Comics as well, but it's never really featured prominently in John Constantine's work. I think it's more of a Swamp Thing or one of the other magic characters, Zatanna or something.
Exactly.
It's never a featured story with.
Which is fine. I
John,
mean, I don't mind them coming up with something new. I mean, they came up with a lot of changes for these characters. But the Spear of Destiny was just boring. It's like, who cares? Like, I think just Gabriel using a sword, because Gabriel's supposed to have a sword as the leader of God's army.
Right. Is that something that you would change? I mean, we'll get into it more later, but it's something you would change probably, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd pull the whole thing out.
Right.
It's unnecessary.
Speaking about pulling everything out, we got Chaz, who disappears in the middle of this film. As soon as Angela is basically introduced, Chaz disappears, which is a shame, because we've said before in the good, Shia, when he pops into this film, is fantastic. He brings in some like comedic relief.
Yep.
He has like a good opposites thing with John. He is a struggling apprentice to John. He just wants to be included, and it's kind of like the audience character that gives you buy-in.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, this guy's weird. We have this guy, John Constantine, who's so stoic and quiet and kind of an asshole, but Chaz is the guy we can relate to.
Exactly, yeah. Constantine certainly lives in a different world than we're used to, and so Chaz is our proxy to ease us into that world. But
then he disappears, and then he reappears when he's needed. He does some really cool things, and then he dies.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a summation. Let me bring it out a little bit more. Basically, what he does is he makes cool golden bullets, and then he puts a cross in a water tank, and then he dies. Yes, there's not much to add, because there's not much there.
Although he does come back as an angel.
Man, I hated that. I
didn't like it either.
I hated it. I thought it was dumb.
Yeah, from what I understand, they added that after the fact because they felt like Angela and Constantine just sort of like leave the room. They don't even pay attention to the fact that Chaz's dead body is just laying there.
They really disrespected Chaz in this whole film. Again, it's something that like they shot obviously after the whole film was made. So I feel like it's something that the producers or the writers or the director was like, man, we screwed over a character.
Yeah.
Let's make people feel better because, oh, it's okay, he died, but he's an angel now. I mean, he can never have free will, but hey, he's an angel.
I think they should have made him a demon.
That would have been cool.
I'm coming for you, Constantine.
Would have been great is if they actually just resurrect him.
Or something.
And just made him this wisecracking zombie or something. I don't know. There's enough of that out there. And with that, we will take you to a word from our sponsor.
We've all been there, phantasms frustrating our felicitations, demons disrupting our domestic delight. But what can you do? Hire a paranormal specialist?
Costly investigations.
Appeal to a higher power?
God doesn't love you.
No, friends, when specters and phantoms and plain old poltergeists have got you down, there's only one solution. Roll up your sleeves and give them the heave-ho yourself. The power of Christ may compel them, but an enchanted object will go a long way to showing them who's boss of this plane of existence. And we can help. Come on down to Beeman's Occult Objects and Reliquary for all your magical necessities. Need to brush up on your incantations? We've got the Book of Thoth, the Grand Grimoire, and the Necronomicon available in paperback and Kindle. How are you fixed for blood? We keep Hydra blood, Gorgon blood, and Ichor on tap. Ladies, fight the forces of fright in style with our plethora of pendants, pins, and precious gems. We've got dragon teeth tiaras, harmonia necklaces, and rings made of pure mermaid tears. Fellas, those diabolical devils will think twice about battling you once they spy an otherworldly weapon in your midst. We've got Kandas, Protégés, Arondites, and Kogarasu Marus. Act now and all purchases more than $500 come with a 6-demon bag. Free! Beeman's Occult Objects and Reliquary, conveniently located in the new hip downtown Los Angeles. It's not just for hobos anymore. Beeman's, because life is for the living, and the rest should go to hell.
This movie does run a little long, I feel. It's a little 2 hours long. I mean, it's a solid runtime for what you're getting, but for me, I would want it a little bit tighter, a little bit more concise to a point, because like you cut out the Spear of Destiny plot. I think you can add maybe a few scenes. You still get the same film. You don't really need the whole Spear of Destiny plot. You can cut out 15-20 minutes that way, make it a shorter runtime. I did fall asleep about 5 times watching this film. I don't know if that has to do with the dulcet tones of Keanu Reeves or the fact that it's a 2-hour movie that has a really boring middle, I feel.
I think the problem with the movie, an additional problem to the movie, is it's what Harrison Ford said about Blade Runner when they made Blade Runner. Because he didn't like the movie. And he said the problem with the movie is it's a detective movie where he doesn't do any detecting.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of runs through this movie. We have additional characters, Father Hennessy character. All he does is point Constantine in the direction of Angela, but Angela is already pointed in his direction. Like they're not adding anything to it.
Actually, you brought up the priest. I thought to go back on something that's good. I know we're in the bad spot, but let's go back to something good. His death was amazing.
Yes.
It's based off of, I believe, one of the first comics of Hellblazer with the hunger.
Yes. The very first comic.
Fantastic scene again with the CGI. Great.
Where he's trying to drink water and trying to drink anything, and the character is a drunk too. He can calm the voices in his head, but he can't drink alcohol. He pours it, but it won't pour into his mouth.
And even the CGI holds it back, so when you see it, you're seeing it through kind of like his perspective and how he's not going to be able to get anything to drink, but in reality, he's actually drowning himself. And that is amazing. Yeah. There's some really cool pieces of this film, but we are on the bad stuff. I know we just talked about Chaz disappearing and reappearing. I didn't have too much else past that on the bad. Did you have anything else that you thought was bad?
I thought maybe they were overselling the cigarettes. They focus on it a lot. Lots of lingering shots of a cigarette burning, which we could have done without. We know he has cancer.
I like the doctor scene though.
Yeah, the doctor scene is amazing.
Was interesting. I thought there was, you're right, of the cigarettes, a little too much lingering. I thought it was too many setups of him lighting a cigarette. Like, just have it burning in his hand already. Like, you don't need to see him light a cigarette. I think we see him light, like, 5 or 6 cigarettes during the film.
And more than that, yeah. And, he has a Zippo, so he does the sort of snapping the thing closed, which got annoying. It seemed, as a person who used to smoke and who used to use a Zippo lighter, like, you do that for the first month or two when you have a Zippo, and then you just kind of light your cigarette and close it.
It reminded me of while listening to this film, because again, I have a problem with the low volume dialogue, is that the little Zippo sound of him opening and closing it reminded me of the turn a page noise back when you were a kid, like turn the page, beep. Alright, because we touched on it a little bit, let's go ahead and get into the problems that are worth fixing. What was a problem you had that's worth fixing?
I think a major issue for me with the movie is that you have a villain who never appears. The character of Mammon, the devil's son, who is really put the entire plot in motion, is the one who's trying to break free from hell and make hell on earth. We never, ever meet him. We see him vaguely at the end as a
shadowy skeleton figure.
Yeah, basically a CGI creation, and that's okay, I guess, but they should have introduced this character as an actual character much earlier in the movie. John Constantine travels to hell a number of times in the movie. A perfect opportunity to meet this character and have him speak and threaten or something. And then you have this character Balthazar, who's the sort of half-breed demon on Earth who's carrying out his plan. Why not have them two converse at some point?
Right. It does seem like he's not involved in the film, Mammon, that is. And you have more Gavin Rossdale's Balthazar, and then you have more of him as the driving force of the villain, and then all of a sudden, when he gets taken out, who's the villain?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Mammon.
Yeah, and the thing is, the big twist in the movie is that, or one of the twists in the movie is that Gabriel is in fact working for the other side, is the angelic force that's going to help him burst forth. So we have him as the face of a villain, but that's that's revealed right before Mammon shows up. So
yeah, I would like to have known that Gabriel was kind of a little bit more resentful. It felt to me during her character appearances while Tilda Swinton did a great job, we never really felt the resentment towards humanity exactly. Right. So it kind of came as an honest surprise, but nice to have seen. It's a very minor thing. Nice to have seen some like seeds of it early, like I don't really like your people, blah blah, like a little bit more.
It might have benefited from one more scene, sort of in the second act, where we see Gabriel again, like checking on the action or whatever, just to remind us that Gabriel isn't a villain, so it'd be that much more of a surprise.
Yeah, again, it's something that I've kind of touched into when we were talking about the bad things. Was Papa Midnight does the same thing. Like he's cut in when we need to see him, but again, having him a little bit more involved in the second act of the film would probably help out a lot.
I mean, I think he shows up plenty, but the thing is that you want more of the more interesting characters and less of the less interesting characters. And like I like the Father Hennessy character, but I don't know a goddamn thing about him. They didn't bother to say anything about him in the movie.
Not much.
He just got a couple of scenes. Beeman as a character. And actually, the supporting characters leads me to another thing that I think could have helped this movie. Now, this isn't me fan-fictioning here. This is actually from the comics. John Constantine as a character in the comics is constantly haunted by the ghosts of all of his friends that he either inadvertently or straight on helped in their demise. That could have been a great element in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree on that. That's something that that would have given Constantine more depth of a character, more guilt, and more of a why he acts this certain way.
It's a nice out to have characters show up as ghosts after they've died, particularly if they're accusatory, but we never really get that, unfortunately.
That would be actually a great scene at the end of the film, to maybe just to add that my favorite part of the film, just to add the extra layer, the icing on top, to see like the dead people watching him do this. Would be a great callback.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of forgiveness on their part. I'm sure they're instead of just hating on John for causing their deaths.
Or maybe even show, like, if you have the ghosts throughout the whole film, that you can go ahead and bring this to a point where he stops seeing them because he did something good.
Right.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, and they have a lot of scenes where Constantine is basically alone in his apartment, which I really liked. I like the character's loneliness, and I think maybe making his place somehow protected from the ghost maybe traps him in there, like looking out the window and seeing them all staring up at him would be a great moment.
Giving reason to why he does close himself off and all that.
Right.
Now, I know something that is one of my problems that I know you feel completely different on. I will
fight you.
I'm going to go ahead and get into this. In my opinion, in my own opinion, not the opinion of both of us here, in my opinion, I think the character and the name of the film needs to be changed. This is not what I know of to be John Constantine. I know you are very different on this, but there's several things in this film that does not follow the John Constantine that I know, that I have been exposed to with more of the animation side. I know you had more of the comics background behind it. I've had more of the animation impact of him being a blonde, British, cheeky asshole.
Sure.
I think we just get more asshole than cheeky. Yes, there is a great line of John Constantine asshole. There's things like that thrown in to kind of be a little hint of cheekiness, but nothing really like that makes me think, oh, this guy is funny, that I enjoy watching him. I mean, don't get me wrong, Keanu Reeves was great in the film, and I think everything that he was given was great, but it would be great if his name was a completely different name, like Garth or something like that. Just call him something different. Do a callback to Garth Ennis and his run on Hellblazer, but have it where it's more inspired from the comics, not an adaptation of the comic.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, for purists of the character, John Constantine is first and foremost a con man and really spends a lot of time amusing himself. And this isn't the John Constantine we got here, because the other half of him is the part that I sort of respond to, which is the lonely, tortured guy. So, I mean, you're getting half of the character. Just like you're not getting the English portion of the character, you're not getting the quick-witted jokester. Although, I will say that when Constantine is faced with death, he's not so funny anymore. So I think this plot sort of serves that earlier aspect of his character. But I see where you're coming from. I mean, look, if you were to show me a picture of Keanu Reeves as Constantine and say, name this comic book character, probably the last comic book character.
Without prior knowledge of the character.
I would say anyone but John Constantine.
I definitely had more of the exposure to Constantine when he's using more of the black magic, more of his, fireball effects. In this film, you get more of rituals and binding chants, which is very cool. And like I said, I enjoy this film. But in Constantine, for me, it's the fireball, it's the black magic, it's the petty dabbler in the dark arts, et cetera, et cetera. And in your version, you're seeing it as more like he does the occult things, does the exorcism, is very knowledgeable, and as you said, a con man, which my favorite scene is him conning the devil, so I get you there. So it's something that I agree, I think we can agree and disagree with.
Yeah, it's funny because the one moment in the movie where it's a really cool moment at the very end where he has to sort of make his way through these demons in order to get to Mammon. He uses this holy shotgun and holy water to blast his way through. It's a great action scene. I remember thinking, even initially when I saw the movie, like, this isn't really John Constantine. Like, he's not an action hero. He's he works more on his wits than he does sort of fists. But I mean, I see your point. Yeah. This isn't the pure John Constantine. Having said that, like, as far as enjoying an adaptation, like somebody's take on it, I think it's a worthy entry into the series.
Sure, and then just to get into our next section with the future and a little bit more of the hope for the franchise, is something I would actually play off from my fix of this film of changing the name, is that you can take this person who's in the DC Vertigo universe, who's not John Constantine, and introduce him to John Constantine in the sequel film.
Yeah.
Which would be great. I mean, and then also...
Yeah, they could have had a catch-all Hellblazer universe. I don't think anyone was thinking this in 2005.
No, I mean, the reason why they have Keanu Reeves in the film is because he was in the Matrix films and they wanted to make this movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Keanu got this movie made, basically.
Basically, and that's something that we can't overlook, especially when it comes to the actual production of the movie. You have a guy who's pretty much a golden ticket at this point.
Yeah.
He's going to sell tickets to people to come see him because he was in the Matrix. So, bam, there you go. Keanu Reeves is Constantine.
Do you know who the original cast was?
No, I did not.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh my gosh, please. I need this movie.
Yeah, that actually might have been really good. I think Tarsem Singh was the initially attached to direct with Nicolas Cage as Constantine. Now, in that case, you were going to get blonde English John Constantine.
With a horrible British accent, Nicolas Cage? Oh my goodness, please.
I know, I'd like to see that movie.
I would love to see that movie.
Why hasn't Nicolas Cage shown up in any comic book movies yet?
Excuse you.
Well,
he's in like every comic book movie.
No, he's not.
Ghost Rider.
Oh, right.
And Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Okay, but that's one character in two movies. That's not every comic book movie.
But I feel like anytime there's a comic book movie, he's got to like at least audition for the film.
I know, but how about why isn't Nicolas Cage in a good comic book movie?
How many Nicolas Cage movies are good? In the New Millennium.
Oh, well.
I got you there.
Yeah, you definitely got me there. I was about to say Raising Arizona.
As soon as the Millennium happened.
Valley Girl.
Yeah, like everything prior to the 2000s is pretty good.
Yeah.
Everything after that is this kind of like B-movie, which is amazing, and I love Nicolas Cage for it. I've actually met Nicolas Cage. He's a great guy.
Really?
Fantastic guy. But
I sat behind him at a screening of Vampire's Kiss, and his cologne made me want to pass out.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I've helped him out when I was working at Target.
Oh, that's
actually.
right.
Yes. I know I've told you this before.
But our audience, all two of you, have not heard this.
Yeah, also all two of you have not heard of this. Hopefully more. But again, just to go into more of the fan fiction thing and the hope of the franchise, we definitely want to see more Constantine. I think we both can agree we enjoy Constantine as a character. Mm-hmm. I would like to actually see that show come back. Maybe have better writers. I know I liked Matt Ryan. I don't think you liked Matt Ryan as Constantine.
I thought he was okay. Mm-hmm. Like, he definitely fit the English blonde guy. I mean, I think he dyed his hair, but
as a TV show version of the character.
Yeah, but I don't know that I can necessarily blame him. I need to watch more of it. Like, I think the good rule of thumb is to watch at least 3 episodes of anything, because the first couple episodes they're just sort of finding their footing. So I need to give it another shot.
Don't do that with Iron Fist. Watch more of that, and then you like it.
No, I'm not. I'm checked out on Iron Fist.
Oh no.
I'm waiting for the Defenders now.
Yes. The other thing I would say about Constantine is I would like to see him go into a serialized, like they had on the TV show, but put it on a network that would actually go rated R with it. That would go demonic. That would go cussing. That would go heavy smoking. He needs to be on the HBO. He needs to be on the Netflix.
Yeah, it seems to me like it's the perfect opportunity for DC to get in on that sort of thing as far as the Netflix goes, because Marvel is dominating Netflix. I don't think DC has any Netflix.
No,
shows
I don't think
right
DC
now.
has anything going other than the CW shows. Which, hey, more power to them. The CW shows are pretty good.
Yeah, I love them.
You have hits and you have misses. You They have good episodes and bad episodes. And I think actually, to get a little bit of a news thing, I don't know if you heard, but they're actually coming out with their own streaming service.
Really?
DC is, yeah. So they're going to have Young Justice Season 3 to start it off, and a Titans TV show. This is an opportunity for John Constantine to get a show where they can maybe go a little bit more adult-oriented towards a Constantine show, which would be great.
Aren't they doing an animated series with Matt Ryan?
I think they're
keep
doing
hearing
that
about
10-minute, 15-minute episode kind of thing.
Like, why bother?
But at the same time, when you're watching a TV show that's animated or a TV show sitcom at all that's 30 minutes, how much of an episode do you really get?
Right.
This is streamlining it. You're getting a 15-minute episode when you really usually get only 22 minutes.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, you're going to have a full plot there. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting with the animated show, so I'm looking forward to that. And then they came out with Justice League Dark, which had John Constantine featured in it as well.
Yeah, pretty heavily.
Pretty heavily. I mean, he was a main character outside of Batman, because you got to have Batman in everything.
I know, my God.
Swamp Thing was in there, which I think Swamp Thing's the movie we should do, because I love talking Swamp Thing.
I can talk Swamp Thing all day long.
All right.
If we're gonna do Swamp Thing, we're gonna have to do both, and we might have to touch on the TV series as well.
Oh, please.
Swamp Thing is a wildly underrated character. I'm shocked we haven't gotten a new version of him yet. Alec Holland, particularly given Alan Moore's run at the character, where they turned him into a avenging angel of the swamp, like
amazing.
It's
so good. Character is so good, so interesting, so gruesome, so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good old-fashioned horror monster. That's your main hero.
I don't know, man. What's going on with DC? Like, they have so much opportunity, and they think, like, people want dark, and we do want dark, but I don't want Superman to be dark. There are characters who are perfectly designed for this sort of thing. John Constantine is from Swamp Thing. Put those two together, man. Make a movie.
Well, the rumor was that they were going to do a Justice League Dark film
with Guillermo del Toro.
Great choice.
Yeah.
If it actually happened.
Yeah.
It's a problem that we both enjoy DC. We just went on and on about Constantine. I know we both enjoy some of the CW shows. It's a shame that the movies are not living up to some of the expectations that fans of DC Comics and fans in general have.
None of the expectations.
Oh.
I mean, get your shit together, DC.
If they ever listen to us.
Jonah Hex, another one. I love Jonah Hex, and there's
Dear swarms of DC fans, I do apologize, but this is the truth. You guys don't have good stuff.
The movies suck. I'm not a Marvel guy. I grew up on DC. DC was my thing. Like, I stayed away from Marvel because I thought it was too light. I mean, I've read them, obviously, but if you were to say to me from age, 12 to, like, 35, I would say, oh yeah, DC, Marvel's terrible, but these days, man.
I mean, I had my mode where I got away from Marvel. I'm definitely more of a Marvel fan from the beginning. I grew up with it. I had the Amazing Spider-Man show. I had the Batman animated show, which was also required Saturday morning cartoon. But as I've said, more Marvel for me. I got out of Marvel for a tiny little bit, got in DC, so I definitely can appreciate the characters. This is where I was introduced to Constantine, obviously.
There you go.
But just to kind of wrap things up here.
Oh, I want to say one more thing. John Constantine should have been institutionalized and met the Angela Sisters character there. That would have been an easy fix and tie everything together. I said earlier, it's a detective movie with not a lot of detecting, and it needed more of an investigatory feel. Now, I know when we talk about Fantastic Four, we thought it should be more of a mystery. John Constantine, as a character, is an investigator. I mean, he might not be a PI specifically, but he does, delve into these things, and it just seems like everything came to him in this movie. That was a problem.
It would have been nice for him to kind of get hints and clues that potentially Gabriel is involved, or there's an angelic force involved into this plot. Would have been great to kind of see him learn that way through investigation. Now, the problem that DC has, they don't let their investigators investigate at all, or the detectors detect.
Yeah.
But it's neither here or there. John Constantine, great. Overall, just to sum up, John Constantine's a pretty solid film. Has a few problems that we agree and disagree on, but there's still some problems to this film. That's probably why it didn't really hit too much on the critics, and it's definitely probably why it didn't make the numerous amount of money that a lot of these comic book films usually make.
As a weird aside, the Distillers have a song called City of Angels that should have been in this movie.
You know what? Let me add one thing. I like the soundtrack to this film. When it actually played, the score and the soundtrack to this film was pretty awesome.
Here's another weird little factoid. When he goes to Papa Midnight's club for the first time, there are two demons sitting together. One is a bald girl.
Uh-huh.
That's Domino Harvey, who had a movie based on her life, Domino, starring Keira Knightley.
Really?
That was the actual Domino Harvey in that part.
Really? That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, here's one thing that absolutely drove me crazy about this movie. The very end of the film, John Constantine, he's been cured of cancer.
Right.
He's on the rooftop, and we see him turn over a new leaf and put gum in his mouth instead of a cigarette. Fuck that. Because here's the thing. In the original Dangerous Habits plotline, the first thing he does is light a cigarette. And I thought, wow, what a great thing. Like, he's been given this gift, and he goes right back to what he does. I thought it was an amazing character moment in the comic book, and it really bugged me that he was turning over a new leaf. We already know he's turning over a new leaf. He's already made the self-sacrifice. Anyway, just wanted to say that.
No, it makes total sense. I mean,
what a great bitter moment at the end of the movie to go.
That'd be great.
And now, I'm cured of cancer. Awesome, I can smoke again.
That would be a fantastic part in the film. I would absolutely love to have seen that in the film, where Keanu Reeves just go ahead and lights a cigarette back on there. Like,
totally, man.
It shows that the character's changed, but not the ways
that much. Yeah.
Not in the ways that we would just like the character that was presented.
Yeah, I mean, it shows him changing as he should, which is more self-sacrificing, and but at the same time retaining the core level of who that guy is.
Actually, I kind of like the fact that he didn't even change. Actually, thinking about this,
right?
Just him being his normal typical jerk and being the con man. That's another thing. That's another reason why he's not exactly John Constantine to me. So he ends up not being the super con man, and that's what I always feel like when I see John Constantine. He's a con man. He can con the devil.
Right.
He just conned the devil in the ending. So why is he changing as a character? He should literally just be an asshole again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
All right. I'm totally with you on there. That's awesome. All right, and just to wrap things up, we would like to go ahead and plug our Facebook page at We'll Take It From Here, and also plug our Gmail account. Please contact us. Gmail is WTIFHS@gmail.com. It's We'll Take It From Here show. And thank you for listening, all two of you, hopefully more at this point. Please suggest anything that you think that is a not-so-great movie that needs to be made better. We'll do our best to accommodate you.
Now, say a catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
Awesome.